It's like sometimes I want to stay in bed, or it's like sometimes you want to even hide under your bed because you're just like you don't feel safe anywhere. And
but you can create safety for yourself. I'm just like speaking from personal experience. I'm 31 now. Didn't think I would make it this long, and I'm just to like hopefully give some optimism and hope, saying that you can create safety, you can heal yourself. Like it is available. It's different techniques for different people, and you have to find what works for you. But like all of the opportunity is there for you to be protected, and don't feel like if you feel like you need to hide on your bed, man. Like do it. Like do whatever you really need to do, and don't let anybody tell you that it's not valid.
It could also be intention. Like, what is your intention for yourself, and what is your intention for others? So your intention is to protect yourself, but you want to give others the right attention. Because with body work, I realized that a lot of people's intention wasn't there. Like some of the guys there was disgusting. So like, you would know what, like, even if you have your back towards down, I mean, if you're facing downwards, you can tell their intention wasn't to properly heal you. It was just to touch you. So even if it's just like, even if it's just that type of energy work, which is like body and body, energy is the same thing. It's your intention. I want to protect my energy, and if you can like manifest that, it could be properly done.
And in regards to thinking about like how do I heal people when I want to heal myself, there's lessons in the healing that you're doing. A lot of healing that I've learned is the cliche practice what you preach type thing, and acknowledging the fact that I don't practice what I preach so oftentimes. And then in the moments where I do, like, patting myself on the back and being like, okay, or looking at why I helped this person through that, and I'm going through that, and what can work for me, like what I need to do. And then looking for outside community, resources, whatever it is that you are able to find access to, that is directly for you. To heal in that way, but there is healing when you're healing, and I think that's the most miraculous part of having that gift of being a healer in whatever capacity, is that in that exchange, and it's not always an equal exchange, but there always is an exchange, that you yourself as someone on the healing end of it, if you're not working with someone who else is a healer, that you have the opportunity and the decisions to be able to take parts of that exchange for yourself. Right. And it doesn't take away from what you're already giving them, because they then have a decision they have to make of whether they're going to accept it or not. And case management is hard. You're going to have people that aren't going to accept it a lot of the time, and they're going to constantly come to, well, I don't understand why this is happening, and you're going to tell them, and I don't understand why it's happening, and you're going to tell them, and it's just not going to change. And some things are harder to change, and I don't want to say that it's just willpower, because I feel like that's a very elitist, privileged thing to say. But a lot of it also has to do with community, and it has to do with how many of us are going to be willing to extend ourselves a little further in dealing with things. And so if I have addicts that are in my group, I am an addict myself. And how do I keep myself from going back to my drug addiction, but I'm finding myself replacing it with different addictions, and some are healthy addictions and they work, and some of them are not, but they're addictions nonetheless. And being able to acknowledge that, right, allows me to work towards a better system in place. But there's going to be a lot of you giving and a lot of people like not taking, or you might have people that take a lot. And so you have to be prepared for that, and you have to, like people say, like, oh, therapists need therapists. Like, that shit's no joke. You really, really do. And in healing and light work, like, you really need other healers and light workers, and whether they're beginner healers or whether they're advanced healers, it really doesn't matter, because you just need someone that's understanding where you're coming from. And once you're able to build that, whether it's someone you call on the phone, whether it's someone you get to meet up with at work, whether it's someone within your workplace, which is a little hard and rare, that you can connect with, that's your first step in being able to let go of that fear and anxiety that you're having and entering that work. I'm not gonna front, it's hard as fuck. It's draining as fuck. There's gonna be days where you're just like, that client, I wanted to wring their goddamn neck, and envision like your stick figure yourself, be like, but then you'll have those moments where a client breaks through. You'll have those moments where a client comes back months later and they're like, I know it was really difficult. And I know it took me a really long time to understand what you were saying and the help you were giving me, but this is what I'm doing. And you're going to then realize that time does not exist again, and that everyone's process is different, and the seeds that we plant have to be watered by those they have been given to. We cannot water them. We can only give the seeds, provide some dirt, put a little splash, and now it's up to them to maintain it. We cannot maintain it, and that's something that I feel is really going to be really important for you to understand and learn, is that you cannot maintain someone else's garden. Right. You can give to it, but you cannot maintain it, because if you maintain it, you're going to burn out so bad. You're just going to spiral down, and that happened to me working with youth. I gave so much of myself to my youth and so much of myself to other people in my workplace that I literally lost my mind and would cry every day going to work because I didn't want to be there anymore, and would come home and be miserable and be around people and be miserable and find things that would allow me to feel this fake kind of happy and content with my life, and I wasn't. And you'll know if you're in the right place or not. You'll have more moments of like, yeah, this is tired and draining, but I really do love going to work. Or I really do love going to do this work. And then if it's not the right place, you'll be like, oh my God, I'm miserable every fucking day, and pay attention to those things too. Because a lot of times we think about the bills and we stick it out. And that's what a lot of our parents did. That's what my dad did, was a correction officer. I don't think I could say he was happy. I think if I were to ask him, were you really happy going to work every day? I don't think his response would be yes. And if it is, I'd be fucking shocked. I'd be like, what? Okay. Side-eyeing you. But, these are all ways for you to protect yourself before you can bring in other resources to teach you or just help you figure out what these transparent, yes, yet very fluid doors and walls can look like. They don't have to be brick walls. Brick walls don't help anybody. And when you're on the path that it seems like you're on, and it seems that it's meant for you, you can't have a brick wall. Because at that point, you're not going to be able to give the gift that you've been given and receive the gifts of others in exchange. And so that's what I would probably have to say about thinking about psychic protection and protecting yourself, is just having these philosophical understandings of how this work works, and then from there building on it. Because if you don't have the foundation of understanding, you're not ever going to be able to protect yourself or go through everyday life without carrying so much on yourself and not releasing it in whichever way that it is. And the earth is a great way to release. Something that was taught to me by a former friend very early on, and that is my go-to. Using the elements in general, right, are ways to release and help. But the earth for me has always been something that when I'm not feeling well or I feel like I have lost control, I just put my hands and my feet all fours and I just sit I sit with it. I'm making sure like I'm putting all of my energy into that, and releasing it. And the earth takes it, absorbs it, and gets rid of it, and it acts nothing in return, which I think is what makes nature and this world such a beautiful thing, is it never asks for anything in return. And so, you know, oftentimes you also have to learn not to expect anything in return. But to be wary of like what can we still give even when we're not asked for it. And so there's different ways, not different ways, there's different things to think about on your new journey. And they'll all become clearer as the days, you know, and the weeks and this time that doesn't exist come around. But you're not alone. And I know that sounds so cliche. I know. But it's so true. I know, like, I need to hear